All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the 80% latest patch tournament. I'm one of your comms today, Sawayoshi, and I'm here with my co-comm, my partner in crime, my comms curse couple, Mazzo.
Hello, everybody.
And we're going to deal out some of those comms curses today.
Hopefully we get some good content. Hopefully we get a closer race.
Hopefully. Okay. So, let's get back on track here. 80% tournament. We saw one match earlier, Fruno versus Serpent, I believe. And this is our second match of the tournament, our second match today as well. And today we have Fruno versus Aksel. And Mazzo, if you want to do intros for each racer while I count them down.
Sure, I'll do what intros I do know of. Aksel is definitely a formidable opponent here. Relatively new, I believe, to the latest patch, but ended up being the runner-up in the 1-2-2-1 tournament that just finished up. So, Aksel's very skilled runner. I've noted his consistency before, so I would not be surprised to see that again. Meanwhile, Fruno, mostly, as far as I know, plays randos, but has definitely cut down his any percent time. And by their any percent time, words are hard. Film at 11. Fruno runs 107.2. Thank you. This is what I get for doing a rando right before this and not researching the runners.
Yeah, you were in there until like 10 minutes ago, I believe. As we get started here, Fruno, a bit of a head start real time. So, one thing I found interesting is the route differences between the two. Mainly, it looks like Aksel does QGA route and Fruno does a deep nest sports room route. So it'll be interesting to see the route differences in that, the differences in the THK fights, the geo differences if there are any as well. That'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, there's unfortunately one difference we won't be seeing is with the patches. The latest patch covers a range of patches from 1.4.3.2 all the way up until the current patch, to my knowledge, 1.5.7.8. Both of these runners are on 1.4.3.2. Fruno has to be for the sports room route.
Yep.
We'll explain that later, but the reason sports room route works is it's used for the THK kill, and that got patched out on 1.5.
1.5.6.8, I believe the first 1.5 release patched it out, so you have to be on 1.4, and the only patch allowed for latest patch 1.4.3.2 plus that isn't 1.5 is 1.4.3.2, so that's going to be what Fruno's using. And also Aksel's going to be using 1.4.3.2 because of mainly because of Watcher Knight's back rolls, I believe, because those can just lose you time as we get into Crossroads here. Those just lose you time and you can't do much about them.
Yeah,
so it's just better to not have them.
It makes a difficult boss less predictable. A difficult one to do quickly, that is. And chat informing us that Devout Skip is also only consistent on 1.4, so
that's true as well.
A factor as well.
Yeah, Devout Skip, I believe on 1.5 doesn't work because the game pushes you into a wall instead of into a Devout. And so you slightly clip into the wall, and the game says you're going to go into the wall and not the Devout. So you just can't get through the Devout. And I believe it's because of some Unity difference or something.
Probably.
Anything different between 1.4 and 1.5 is usually a Unity difference. The sports room is probably just fixed. Again, to Statue Pogo here.
I don't think that's how Statue Pogo works, Fruno.
It works. It works.
Aksel with a more traditional Statue Pogo.
Alright, going into False Knight. Gonna be similar to what you've seen for the past few months here. Gonna be 13 hits. Go left through here. Not much that's different, except the husks here are consistent spawns on 1432 plus and not on 1221, which is interesting. It leads to, on average, getting a bit more geo here in this fight. Alright, going into Mound. Mound, pretty much the same, I believe. Between 1221 and 1432. Three seconds apart, Aksel in the lead early on. 3 seconds, not much. But given their PBs, we could see that. We could see that growing larger and larger across this race. Or we could see Fruno pull something out. Or Aksel perhaps messing up somewhere badly, and we see Fruno ahead later on at some point. Again, it's Hollow Knight. RNG can absolutely screw you in several grandiose ways, and that includes Umu cycles, Balder spits, deaths in some cases. So we'll be seeing those. This Balder coming up here, not quite, not different from 1221. Still RNG, still a 50% chance, and we'll see if we get a first spit here, and we do from Fruno. Nice. We'll see Aksel on the right here coming in as well. First spit.
Yeah, also getting a first spit.
And a double spit as well.
Yeah.
Double spit from the Balder. Double Balder spit, rather. 2 Balder spit doesn't really do much. It does give you a little bit more soul to work with. For the Gruzzer climb, don't need to get as much here, but that's about it.
So, one of the big differences between these patches is coming up here with this Balder. On 1221, you can keep the fireball at the edge of the screen and quick kill this Balder. That got patched out. So we have to play the RNG game again.
One more RNG game. Fruno getting a second spit. Not bad. Aksel getting 2. Okay, 3.
First spit.
So just a little bit slower, but not much at all. Looks like Aksel is still a little bit ahead, going into Green Path.
3 seconds, it looks like.
Mm-hmm. Not much change in that difference there. Yeah, Green Path, still the same old, still a couple fireball skips, still a couple backups if you missed those. There is a fireball skip backup for this last fireball skip after this one. That's 100% consistent on 1.4 plus, as we see Fruno missing this first one. A little bit more consistent on 1.4 plus, not consistent on 1-2-1. The husks have consistent spawns, consistent walk directions, so you just get the backup enemy pogo for free. Both have plenty of soul for this fireball skip though. Fruno not getting the turnaround, gonna go for the pogo. Aksel gets it nicely. Right here. Lure this enemy. Lure them. Not quite getting the pogo.
Yeah. I found that backup is much harder to do if you go for the fireball, skip, and miss.
Mm-hmm.
But if you realize quickly enough and don't cast the fireball, then the husk is in a much better spot.
Mm-hmm. This Moss Knight double, slightly different, but largely the same. Just a couple different hitboxes to work with.
Oh.
And here we see we're probably going to see Aksel. We're probably seeing both of them do Vengefly King here. Yeah, Axel does do Vengefly King. Don't see that in 1221 any percent anymore because of reroutes, devout skip, and whatnot. On 1.4 plus, there you do get a little bit more incidental geo in city, so you don't quite need all that 170 from Nos Knights, and you can make do with that 65 from Vengefly King instead. So we head into Hornet here. Oh, nice needle throw for Aksel.
Yeah. This fireball, not so nice.
Not quite as nice. For anyone that's versed in 1221 speedrunning, this is something that you'll notice, but Hornet actually doesn't stagger after 5 hits and instead needs 6. So definitely changes your patterns a lot in this fight because 5 hits is pretty easy to get into a pattern with. 6 hits makes it a bit more difficult. And we saw Aksel do it pretty nicely and Fruno on their way as well. Nice.
Yeah, it looks like Aksel's going to gain quite a bit of time on Fruno in this green path.
Alright, going down into Fungal here, so we get an audio swap. Fungal, of course, has Mantis Claw. Mantis Claw means E-Pogo, and E-Pogo is very different.
Yes.
You can't Pogo the explosion on 1.4 plus on latest patch. You have to Pogo the Sporg projectile itself instead. So it's a little different, a little trickier. And Aksel, of course, a renowned 1221 runner. We'll see if he can get a 1432 E-Pogo here very soon. Bruno making haste as well on their way into Fungal.
It looks like Aksel's going to go for the 1 fireball setup. And
very nice.
Hits it.
You know, I believe 1 fireball is somewhat close to 1221 fire pogo, so it's possible that he just finds that the most comfortable with any strat. 1 fireball, also what I do, so
yeah, 1 fireball is optimal to my knowledge.
Fruno going for it as well, doesn't quite get the fireball. Doesn't quite get the fireball out. Gonna go for it again. Very nice.
Gets it second time.
One thing you also notice is both runners are going to forego the Mantis Youth Lure to get the early control at Claw here, and the reasoning for that, oh, very nice triple pogo, is that there's actually a invisible ceiling, invincible floor that flying enemies can't go through. So the early control here is just not possible.
Yes.
Let me see. 1028, 942. Claw pickups, 1028, 942. Let me do the quick math in my head. That's 46-second difference. So that gap's getting a bit wider. Just over 2 Umu cycles of difference right now.
Yeah. I think this is part of why Aksel, like, if I'm in Fruno's spot, I'm definitely a little intimidated. Just having seen a lot of Aksel's 1-2-2-1 runs. I know he's very consistent.
Yeah, very much so consistent, and has 32 level consistency as well. Aksel having a multitude of 32s in 1-2-2-1 any percent, and definitely has the ability to get a 34, and we'll see if we see that this tournament. It would be a 53-second PB, but it's not out of the equation just yet. Of course, we pick up Shaman Stone as well here.
The rum might be different, but it's not that different.
One thing that you'll notice here on Fruno's side, actually, once they do the cleanup on the Gruzzers after Gruzzmom, is that they actually don't drop Geo. And that's also a difference from 1C21. Each Gruzzer drops 2 Geo, as we see Chase Kip set up from Aksel's side.
They're struggling a bit with that cleanup, but they got it.
They got it. Each Gruzzer drops 2 Geo, and with 7 Gruzzers total, that's 14 Geo. Can make a difference, but it's not a lot. It can make a difference. And with some routing, it absolutely does.
So another noticeable difference here is that they're not doing the walkling storage across Blue Lake. And I'm not 100% clear on whether it was patched or whether the rule is just different.
With regards to walkling storage, I believe the difference is that on 1221, it gives you the walkling in midair. It gives you the walkling motion, animation, all of that in midair, and that's what lets you conserve dash momentum and whatnot off the walkling storage on 1432 on 1.3 and up. That's patched out, and you don't cling onto the wall anymore. The wall touching state is stored, so you can still jump off, but that jump is not allowed under the 1432 plus NMG rules.
Thank you for being more prepared for this than I am.
I simply have the knowledge. So basically, walkling storage still exists. It doesn't give you the momentum, and you can't use it for the wall jump.
Yeah, it's extremely situational and considered a major glitch anyways.
Yep. In glitch categories, it does let you walkling storage up to Blue Lake, but that's a story for a different time. As we see Aksel getting Dreamnail, Fruno getting into the Dreamnail cutscene right after. Of course, Aksel getting the drop perfectly on 1432. We're going to see both of them going into city now. And here we're probably going to see some routing differences from the two runners. Aksel, I believe, is going to do Rafters. I'm not entirely sure what Fruno does, but I would not be surprised if they do King Station instead of Rafters.
Fruno does King Station.
King Station, okay. So we will be seeing a route difference pretty soon here.
Yes, this is where the city is really where... Well, city is, yeah, one of the places where the route's a little bit different.
Yep. We have exactly a minute difference between the two, it looks like. Yep. Aksel heading straight into city. Fruno's going to be taking a detour before then. Gorgeous Husk, I believe, is pretty much the same on 1432 and 1221. The only difference that I know of is that Gorgeous Husk spawn and movement direction are consistent on 14 plus. So you don't have to worry about the first VS not doubling, which is very nice. Just gets rid of one RNG factor. And here we see the biggest, in my opinion, difference between the two patches is the lever skip here into Spire does not exist, so you have to go around and do the Great Husk Sentry here. Which, there's multiple ways to do it, and definitely differs per runner. Different ways to do it, and there's been some labbing on what's the fastest way or easiest way to do it. Looking pretty nice from Aksel there.
Yeah. Killing that Great Husk Sentry is pretty scary, because those guys deal 2 massive damage. Yeah, Aksel bench skipping and down to 2 HP.
2 HP.
Entering the Watcher's room.
Taking some heals.
Yeah.
Does have 1 VS worth of soul for this chandelier here. Watcher Knight's also different between the 2 patches, not as drastically between 1221 and 1432. Some people will say it is. The main difference is that the Watcher Knights will not attack from off screen, from a certain distance away. So it's definitely easier to get used to the get used to the fight. It's easier to find moments to heal. But once you start getting into the once you get into the range where you want to start doing this fight a lot faster, it can be an issue because they will just walk at you from 2 miles away and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
See, accidental fireball the other way from Aksel there.
Fruno, meanwhile, taking the safety bench.
Taking the safe option there. Going to the Great House Sentry. Aksel onto the last pair. We got fireballs. Another difference that that we forgot to mention is that fireball distance is different between the 2 patches. The Vengeful Spirit and Shade Soul go farther on 1221 than they do on 1.4 plus, so it's they will not go as far. It's harder to get triple hits. It's harder even to get double hits, so it's a pretty interesting difference as well. And definitely something to keep in mind for Watcher Knights is Aksel finishes the fight. He's up to Lurien here as Fruno enters the room just that Aksel left. One last thing on the chandelier there. So you see Fruno going into Watcher Knights as well. Let's see how this fight goes. It looks like we have quite a bit of difference now at this point. It was a minute before, and it's probably a bit more now, and with route differences with Watcher Knights, it's going to be, that gap's going to be widening even more here. Be interesting to see how much that difference is going to be after this fight. Aksel gets Lurien. Good nail cancels there. It's 2-3 onto the last pair. Bit early on that dream nail. Good. Fireball's getting hits on both of the Watcher Knights. Not sure if that was or enough. Is Aksel heading into the Ghosts of the Watcher Knights arena just as Fruno gets the last pair down?
Yeah.
Yeah, Aksel going to be going down back through the light room, the light lever room, and through the fountain to get to Rafters and Lem. Fruno later going to be going, I believe, the top route.
Yes, I believe that is the case.
I was watching Aksel right there, opening the gate, wondering whether he would go for the Walkling storage there. Because 1-2-2-1, you always go for the Walkling storage there. So we go into Rafters, we'll see. Will he go for right side? Does go for it, and yeah, the Vengefly was not in a great place there.
Yeah.
Not something that's easily savable. Rafters...
Good left side, though.
Very good backup. Rafters, right side rafters at the very least, is a bit more RNG on 1.4 plus than on 1.2.1 because Vengeflies can drift a bit farther, and when they drift a bit farther, it becomes a bit less consistent, and they can just be in places which are impossible to save.
Yeah.
And when that happens, you just lose 5-6 seconds.
Yeah. Vengefly RNG is just root in this game.
Yeah.
All over the place.
Bruno getting that Hollowness seal that Aksel just sold. Aksel going back to King Station. You want 2,357 geo here. Aksel does have 5 extra. Fruno, likely not doing Devout Skip, I believe. And if you're not doing Devout Skip on 1.4 plus, you need 2,314 geo. And Fruno is going to be having plenty more than enough for that. If they had a bit more geo, they could go for Devout Skip, but I'm not sure if that's what their plan is. Alright. I'm not sure. Are either of these runners on PB pace right now? One of them might be. I'm not sure. Aksel is on 34 pace. Thank you for the info. Aksel is on pace for a minute PB, basically.
Yeah,
in a
Axel's
race.
run has just been very, very clean.
Very clean. Not many major mess ups at all. Getting Epogo first try, having a good Watcher Knights fight, good Shade Skip. Everything's just been pretty good. So he's heading to Infected Crossroads, the Infected Vengefly room. A bit different on 1.4.
Apparently ahead of PB.
Oh, nice. Maybe we'll see a double PB this race. That would be interesting to watch. And now I'm remembering Aksel did miss right side rafters, but there's not much you can do about that. That's just RNG.
Yeah.
There are ways to save it, but much easier to just take left side after that.
Alright.
Hogax, yeah. Hogax, very
Aksel
different.
getting it second try, though.
Wow, that was a good backup.
Yeah. So, Pogax is different on latest patch versus 1.2.2.1 because the Huskmeyer behaves differently. Generally, I've heard that if you miss the first one, best move is to just cut your losses and go around, but Aksel not doing that and looked like the right call this time.
Yeah. Hit it on the recovery very nicely. Yeah, the miner can just wiggle around and refuse to throw an axe at you. And if that happens, then it's basically RNG whether he can save it or not. And maybe you can work with all RNG. They also throw an axe faster after readying to throw an axe than on 1.2.2.1. You'll notice if you put them side by side. Aksel at 1 health here. We'll see if he can get through. Very nice, yeah. You know, I was about to say, if Aksel did take that death, it might have been an opening for Fruno.
Yeah.
Yeah. The miner, the motion is much faster on 1.4, and that makes Pogax much more difficult. We'll see if Fruno goes for it here.
Fruno is definitely going for it. And doesn't quite get it.
Not quite.
And he's still going to go for it. They're still going to go for it.
Yep. Still going for it, still going for it. 1 health, a little scary. And yeah, just going to take out that miner. Cut your losses and go around. Safe play. And going around, instead of going for it at all, only loses around 4 seconds. Going back around after you miss it loses a little bit more because you have to go down and around and also lose the time that you spent on Hogax itself.
But it is far better than taking a death.
It's much better than taking a death. And that's the choice that Fruno makes. We see Aksel acid skipping into Fog Canyon here. I almost said Fungal. Now here is one of the biggest, once again, differences between 161 and 1432 for these top echelon runners. Umu, oh Umu. Everyone's favorite jellyfish. Even more so on 1432, where the 2 cycle is a bit harder, a bit tighter, and just as much annoying to miss. Umu takes knockback a bit more easily, doesn't get stuck in platforms as much on 1432 compared to 1221, and that makes it a little bit harder to get those nail hits, get those fireball hits in time, as we see Fruno getting through. See, that's at 1 health here. We'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fireball hits. You want 7 fireball hits on the first cycle if you want to be going for a 2 cycle. Not quite getting that, so gonna be very, very tight.
Yeah, Aksel
perhaps even impossible.
Down to 2 HP, so
It's
gonna need
a little
to play
scary
smart.
too. Yeah, not getting that fireball. Could be seeing a 4 cycle here. We could be seeing a death if we see some mess up here. No, taking a heal, playing it safer, but that basically guarantees a 4 cycle and an extra.
Yeah, that is unfortunate.
Just you don't want to be seeing that
Just
RNG in a
Umu
race.
things.
Just Umu things. Do not despair, Umu says, while they send you 3 attacks in 1 cycle, and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Umu are beloved. No one in speedrunning. That's a hyperbole. As we see another extra.
Yeah, Aksel's Umu is not wanting to cooperate.
Not good RNG. And this far, you're not going to be getting many doubles, but yeah, only needing 2 fireball hits for that cycle. We see Fruno taking their way into archives as well.
Yeah, let's see if their Umu is any kinder.
Any kinder. Getting some extra soul.
Aksel did not try the Walkling storage because A, I don't believe it works on this patch, and B, it would be considered a major glitch on this patch if it does work.
Mm-hmm.
So
it definitely doesn't get you all the way to Monument, I'll tell you that. Alright, Fruno, pretty good lure. This is definitely workable for a good first cycle. 1, 2, 4, 5. Not bad, but not quite going to be able to 2 cycle this. Alright, how's that second cycle going to look? 4, it's 9 fireballs total, and I believe you need around 13, 14, somewhere around there to get enough damage, so gonna need another 5 fireball hits this third cycle to get a 3 cycle. Umu being a bit nicer, no extras so far. Not quite.
Quit reacting quickly enough.
A nail cancel there might have done it, but we're gonna be seeing 2 4 cycles this race. Not something that you see very often.
Alright, Aksel is going to be showing us QGA.
Only QGA we'll be seeing tonight, hopefully. it is possible that Aksel takes to death somewhere in QG, and we have to see that once again. QG also very different on 1432 compared to 1221. Doesn't look very different at first glance. You don't think there's much that could be different, but there's quite a bit. First off, these Petras here have 5 extra health, 45 instead of 40. 2 fireballs does 40 damage, so you just barely can't get that.
See a question in chat being posed. What about Fruno's QG? They are just going to avoid QG entirely and do Spore Shroom route. So they're going to be going through Deep Nest.
Yep, going down through Fungal, Queen Station, going through Fog Canyon, then Queen Station, Fog Canyon, or I'm mixing things up. Exiting Archives, going down through Fog Canyon, going through Queen Station, into Fungal Waste, and from there going through Deep Nest. There we go. Alright, so we see Aksel getting through QG very nicely, might I add, and into Deep Nest here.
So one of the other differences between these patches in Queen's Gardens is that the spiny husks that shoot out the thorns, on 1221, the thorns are on the wrong layer, so you actually can't get damaged by them. That got patched, so those are actually dangerous now.
Yeah, they can absolutely hit you, and oh, they'll hit you. Especially that one right at the C dash point in the first room of QGs. We see Aksel going through into Distant Village, and no falls today. Making it into Beast Den. It'll be interesting at 4 health to see whether we see a Den quit out. I don't think we will, but 4 health could be something where we see it, or maybe not. Den quit out, healing you for the cost of losing all your soul. Yeah, Fruno going through Fungal here. Good fireball stall.
Yeah.
Good devout skip from Aksel on the right. On the left here, Fruno going to be breaking this wall, taking a little detour to get Spore Shroom for the THK fight at the end of this run. Aksel, I have 3 health. 3 health should be fine for the rest of Den, unless something bad happens. I shouldn't have said anything.
You really shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Aksel not saving the grub, I don't know whether I can support him now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, 2 health should be plenty here, though. Unless, yeah, instant open into accidentally parrying and not taking damage early enough and taking to death into that last devout at 2 health. It happens sometimes.
That's unfortunate,
and
but
we just shouldn't have said anything.
I suppose that's what he gets for not saving the grub. And yes, I believe Nosk is actually in that little section there.
As a Spore Shroom runner, I never realized that. Okay, that's something to know. Okay. Alright, Fruno taking the bench down in Deep Nest Hot Springs. Just a quick safety heal. I'm gonna be heading through Lower Deep Nest instead to get to the Beast Den here. Aksel?
Aksel, please.
Okay, there we go. Getting through, gets the Geo, doesn't lose that 200 odd Geo that the Shade has. Gonna be going to Terra. I would not have gone up to the Devout without the Shade if I were Aksel there.
The Shade, I believe, yeah, Shade is on the way to the exit. So
yeah.
It is faster to get the Shade later.
But you know...
But it could also sink your run.
200 odd Geo is a lot to get from Beast Den and Beast Den alone, because you're not getting any other Geo sources anywhere nearby. There are a few devoutes, there are a few geo rocks, but you know, if you can, you just want to avoid having to deal with that at all. So we see Fruno entering Beasten, Aksel exiting here. Saw a similar high five earlier at Lurian.
Aksel getting a shade on the way out.
Yeah. Yeah, 255, just barely enough for the stag here. 250. But oh wait, we're not done with the differences between 121 and 1432 just yet. We have one more difference. We have a couple more differences actually in the THK fight, and we'll touch on those a bit later. Fruno, yeah, just gonna take out the devout.
Yeah.
Took one try at the skip and isn't gonna bother anymore.
Yeah.
A couple scary hits, but
yeah.
Yeah, that fireball should be it. Yep. Nice. I'm gonna quit out. I believe quitting out doesn't respawn them, so you can just quit out for a heal and then go through for free, which is interesting enough. In chat, people saying Geo, Fruno has 207. You know how much how much the last devout gives? 43. You know how much you need? 250. Do the quick math in your head, and Fruno has exactly enough Geo with every single last piece from the last devout. We'll hope that they get all the Geo.
Yeah.
You see Aksel going into THK with that Beast and Death, unfortunately no longer PB pace by a pretty long shot. Fruno still could. Absolutely, especially with Spore Shroom THK.
So,
that fight is
as for THK, let's go over some of the differences.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest difference that I know of off the top of my head is that the attack where he plunges his nail into the floor and the beams of light shoot up, those beams deal 2 damage instead of just 1.
Yeah, 2 damage instead of 1. A bit scarier on 1.4. And also pretty fast attack. And another difference is THK is actually just faster at attacking. So you're going to be seeing them right here, this attack right there that can do 2 damage. In general, attack rotations are going to be faster. THK has more chances to hit you. You have less time to react, and you can just take a lot of damage. You saw Aksel, even at 32, 1-2-2-1 runner taking a couple heals to 1.4 THK. Alright. 2 health, a little scary, especially with the 2 damage attack there. Getting
and there's the fountain.
We could
still the attack you want to see.
You could see a Scream Skip if we get a lot of damage. No, Axel's just going to take the Scream Skip. And yeah.
And that will be GG's for Aksel.
GG's to Aksel, having a 36 in a race. Fruno, not quite a 36, but is on PB pace, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, 36 in a race with a death at the end of Beastan. And a 4-cycle Umu.
And 4-cycle Umu. 4-cycle Umu with 2 extras, no less. Yeah, 36.52 from Aksel here. And Fruno also heading into the final THK fight. Fruno's fight going to be very, very different from Aksel's. I believe going to have Spore Shroom for this fight. Spore Shroom makes the fight very, very, very different. You're not going for fireballs, you're not going for doubles on dashes, you actually don't want as many dashes, you want attack